Hi, this is Jody King-Colgrove with Quantum Techniques. We have developed a proven technique to determine why you have a health issue and what you can do about it using a form of energy medicine. I work with people all over the world on the phone, helping them to determine why they're having a health issue and what you can do about it. And we find that out together. So one of the things that we test through muscle testing or applied kinesiology is toxins. So why are toxins so important? Well, toxins can be lots of different things, and sometimes your body registers things different ways as a toxin. So I'm going to start out by talking about ingestants. So those can be things like foods, water, medicines, medications. A lot of times what we do is we can test herbs that you may be taking or ones that we recommend for how significantly helpful are they for you. And if they're not, then you'll save money on them. You don't have to buy them. You're not getting the benefit from them. We also may find that one brand is better than another brand, so that's another way. Then we test medications. I've been kind of amazed lately at how many people have really been impacted or even passed away because their medication was incorrect. And they do say that that's the number one cause of death is medications that are prescribed incorrectly. And so we can test which medications you will have a reaction to or that are a benefit for you or ones that are too much harm. We also test things like, is there bacteria in your food? Is there also pesticides or fertilizers on the food that you eat? And so you need to make sure and wash it. We also test for mold. And that's one thing that I find is, is there mold on the food? Okay, or is it in the air, and how does that mold impact you? I know for me personally, if I start having a racing mind and it's just like, oh, I gotta get that done and then that done and that done, that usually indicates to me I have some mold exposure and I need to clean it up. So I can literally look at the areas or where I'm at and find out, okay, where is that mold exposure? It could be underneath the window, it could be on the ceiling, but I have a way, and we at Quantum Techniques, we have a remedy that can help clean that up. So it's really helpful to know because those can add to your symptoms. It's more important, I kind of go back a little bit to water. It's really important to have filtered water. And sometimes you need to make sure that it's a really good filtered water. And a filter is something that will take out not only a lot of the, like chlorines and things like that in the water, but you also want to make sure it takes out the hormones that are in the water. We have a lot more hormones these days in our waters that are impacting this. And so a Brita filter doesn't take that out. And so you need a much better filter than that. And we have some recommendations that we would recommend for what a water filter would be good. Another toxin that we test is inhalants. Now inhalants can be the form of chemicals. That could be cleaning supplies. It could be on your body. It could be something you're smelling in the air. In my particular area, there's a power plant that if the wind shifts too much, I get an inhalant. And then what I find interesting is what's in the inhalant is a heavy metal, not only the chemical, but the heavy metal. So it's important sometimes for your body to categorize that in order to clear it. Sometimes it doesn't need to, but if it's interacting with something in your body, then sometimes we need to know it. So for example, if you have mold inside your body, you're going to be more reactive to mold on the outside. If you have heavy metals in your body, you're going to be more reactive to heavy metals. Other things that could be inhalants are cigarette smoke, or smoke in the air from fires and things like that. That can impact your body. And then also we talked about mold a little bit before. It could be on your body or it could be on your home. And so you need to know where to clear that up from. So it's really important to have a good air filter. And that's another thing that we can recommend at Quantum Techniques. We have several different air filters that we have found to be helpful. If you research them and have a picture of them, we can test them. A lot of times we'll have you call the person that manufactures it or someone that works there and say, have you seen the product? Then we can test through them to find out if it'd be good for you. A contactant, something that touches your skin, okay? A lot of times that's also the same thing as an inhalant, but it can be sometimes different. So you think about, laundry detergents are not only touching your skin, but they're also smelling it. And laundry detergents are kind of one of the biggest things that can be a toxin for you. And sometimes people say, why are toxins that big of a deal, okay? If you put on every day clothing that is reversing you or is your body's having a problem to, it basically is saying, okay, I have just so much energy in my body to deal with this today, so I'm gonna work on making sure that you can function while I'm dealing with this inhalant. Oh, there's a virus and bacteria that came by. Oh, I don't have time to deal with that. We'll just let that pass because I'm dealing with this inhalant over here. So that's what can happen. So that's why it's really important to make sure that the products that you have on your body or wearing near your body or in your environment are all clean and good and support your body to having full health. So that's why we test toxins. All right. You can also have molds on your skin too, so that's something to be aware of. Bug spray, suntan lotion, those are all things that we do have remedies for, or products that we suggest. So those are things to test and to think about that, going into summertime or in the spring, you may be putting those things on your body, and you may have found all the toxins if we worked before, but then we may have to test you again for the different seasons and what to use. Sludge is another thing that we test now. We find that as we tell the body, okay, yeah, we do have these toxins and let's say heavy metals, and we found them in your body. So now all that is trying to exit the body, and there's a certain route that it gets out of the body. Well, if that's blocked, then a lot of times the sludge kind of backs up in the system, or it overwhelms the system and it doesn't know how to deal with the sludge. So we are testing sludge to see if that's a component that needs to be cleared. And a lot of times we don't need to know exactly what the sludge is made of in order to clear it. Body fluids. I remember when I first started in quantum techniques, I found that someone was bad on their sweat. And that really surprised me. But like I said, we're always learning in quantum techniques. And what I found now, or as I'm a little more aware of now, is that sweat, a lot of times, that's how you detox the body, like we were just talking about. And so if your sweat smells, or you have a lot of underarm smell, what is that? That's the body trying to detox itself. And so if you smell that smell, you're detoxing something. So we would find out if is it heavy metals, is it some kind of chemical, and help that not be a reversal for you. Another thing to kind of go back on a little bit is sometimes, the way that you detox, the first one is your colon. So if you have a really smelly poop, a lot of times what that is that's detoxing. So we can test you to find out, okay, you're either detoxing too much or too little, or it's not processing better or as good as it could. And so that's something we can actually code you for, is to find out to get your poop not to smell so bad. When you have a baby and you're a mom, this is the things that you learn. So I remember when I first also started, my son was bad on his smell of his poop, and we'd have the diaper pail right there in the room, and it was toxing him, so we had to move it to the garage. I just worked with a baby recently, that same thing happened. So it's something to keep in mind. If that baby's detoxing, then they're re-getting that toxin about the inhalant too. One thing in regards to bodily fluids, besides sweat, mucosal lining is all the skin inside the body, and your salivatory glands. And just recently we've had a lot of new scans that have really helped identify how to clear different things a little bit better, so we can get to some hidden things that we hadn't been able to find before. And I'm at least finding in my testing that the salivatory glands is kind of the first introductory to any kind of inhalants or ingestants, and they get reversed a lot. And there's almost like if they're not functioning really good, then the whole body doesn't digest and do what it's supposed to do very well. So that's something that we test and find out and clear. Other thing regarding body fluids is hormones and blood. A lot of times people could be toxic on their own blood issues if they've had miscarriages, and there's a lot of trauma there, so that would be something that we would also clear. Like I mentioned, we have some new scans regarding hormones that are just phenomenal, and helping people balance them and be able to find out which ones are not functioning well and why, and how they're impacting the rest of the body. And so it's helping us reveal a lot more about how the body is behaving and why it may have not cleared before or gotten well before. The other thing in regarding to hormones is, a lot of times people get their hormones tested. Well, when you get your hormones tested, a lot of times you have to do like a 24-hour test, then you have a 3-day test, and then you have like a 28-day test, so that you can find out what all the hormones are at the whole level of a woman's, let's say, cycle. Well, testing us with quantum techniques, we have this whole list. We just go through and find out which ones it is. And so we're not just testing the thyroid hormones, we're testing all the thyroid or all the hormones for the body. And so that's why it's more comprehensive. So one of the last things that we test also is heavy metals. And I just bring that up, it's because we test to see if the body is having an issue with heavy metals. And sometimes we need to identify it, sometimes we don't. And we just define what organs, glands, and tissues it's in to be able to clear it. If you go and need to find out, okay, well, from a lab test and finding out, okay, do I have heavy metal issues? They'll do a blood test, a hair test, a urine test, and a stool test to get all that information. And we can just get it so much more quickly and more accurate to where it is. And so those are kind of the things that we test when we're testing toxins in quantum techniques, and that's why it's important. So I hope that was helpful for you. I went a little long today, but I think that's really helpful to know how your body responds to toxins and how it can affect you. And at least at Quantum Techniques, all we have to do is identify it, and what the body knows it's there and identifies with, the body can heal and clear it. So blessings from Quantum Techniques. Visit our website at quantumtechniques.com. There's a lot of great information in there. Request a session with me and I can find out what toxins are bothering your body. Blessings.